everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Yes. What? Oh, I'm a child of the Most High God.
Okay.
Oh, what? I am. But my name is Erik Yates.
Yeah, I'm Candace. And we're Holy Matrimony. Mm-hmm. We're just two church kids, who want to come and bring you some truth, encouragement, and good laughs, all relating to living in holy matrimony. Mm-hmm. Not just holy as in like the Holy Bible, but holy as in holistically, complete. And totally. So we talk about it all. So we invite you to join in tonight. We're gonna have a really good conversation tonight. I think we're gonna have a good conversation. Yeah. So share and invite your friends to like our page here on Facebook. While he's sharing, I'll let you know where else you can find us. You can also find us on YouTube. Same name, Holy Matrimony, WHOLLY, where we put all our videos. We also have a podcast by the same name that you can find on YouTube and pretty much all major podcast platforms. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Buzzsprout, iHeartRadio. So if you love podcasts, or if you now are back to driving and commuting to work, or if you have been doing that the whole time, feel free to put us on during the week, and you can listen to our podcast and kind of refresh yourself of our conversation this evening. So, but we're gonna have some fun tonight. Mm-hmm. We've got some good things to talk about. A little later on around, those what people call gender roles in marriage, and what are those expectations around gender roles? Do they even matter now? How do we do things? And how has our upbringing contributed to our understanding around those?
You want to talk at all about our weekend or anything? Or?
Oh, I didn't. How I kind of can get carried away.
Yeah. Slow down. Take it.
I can, though.
Slow down.
Okay, so yesterday was a beautiful day in Minnesota.
Yes.
And it was I think it got up to 86 degrees.
Whoa.
But, if you have been following along either on my page on Facebook or Instagram, you know that it is gardening season, and Erik built some more garden beds for me. So now I have 4 garden beds, or 3.5, but 4 garden beds. And last week, Erik and our neighbor filled the new ones with dirt. They made 5 trips to the city compost and got some great dirt. And I was able to be outside all day yesterday and sow some seeds. So I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Yes, it was hot though.
Yeah, Ooh. It was hot. It wore us down.
Yeah.
I was outside doing a whole bunch of other yard work, just cleaning up old leaves. Because we have about 2,000 trees in our yard. Was it about 2,000 trees?
2,000 trees? I'm I was about to say,
Usually she would have caught on to that, but she was typing. No, but we have a lot of trees that leave a lot of leaves, and so I had some leaves left over from last fall, so I was just cleaning up things. Actually, I had a lot on my to-do list yesterday, and I knocked out pretty much all of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a beautiful day.
If he doesn't complete his to-do list, it's hard for him to sleep. So
yeah.
We're happy that he did get it done.
Yeah, all the urgent stuff, or none of it was super urgent, but all the really timely stuff.
Yeah,
was completed yesterday, and I smoked some ribs too. Come on, somebody, go look at my Facebook page and Instagram. You'll see the video of how they fell apart.
Here, Chris said, "Just leave it alone."
Okay,
but yeah, it was hot, and I definitely intended to get outside earlier in the morning, but we sleep in on Saturdays, and then the kids needed breakfast, so I didn't get outside till 11. So when I was leaning over these garden beds, squaring them off because I do square foot gardening, and then sowing the seeds, it was noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So it was the sun was blazing down. But hey, I'm not going to complain because I am very excited, because usually we have about 2 more weeks of cooler weather here. before we can do all the seed sowing and stuff. So we had a mild winter. It's starting to get warm early. So if you are interested in gardening, seriously, like get a pot, get some dirt, get some seeds, and some water. Yeah. It's not that hard. Start. So I'm very excited. I do have a Facebook group for those who are interested in gardening or want to share and follow along my journey called Grow Sis Grow. It is a public group, so you can ask to join, and you are more than welcome to kind of follow along on my journey. But also, you can follow me on Instagram at Candace_cultivates, and I will definitely blow your feed up with all of my gardening adventures this summer. I put a post up yesterday. Did you see it? I think it was yesterday or the day before that said, like, warning, may spontaneously talk about gardening.
Oh, so yeah.
Just know that if you, like, pretty much talk to me anytime between now and November, some part of our conversation is going to involve gardening. It's just a given. So I'm going to work it in there some kind of way.
Yes, indeed. So. All right. Now I think we're ready to go to the marriage fun fact of the week. Okay, so this fun fact, and I don't know where this research comes from. We ain't going that deep now. Just
we're not citing sources.
Yeah. So you can look it up. But it says just 2 years after marriage, an estimated 20% of couples make love less than 10 times in a year.
I was about to fall in my chair. It was like when you were saying it, I kind of knew where this was going. Like, it was kind of going to like a depressing fact.
I try to think of find happy ones, but
Okay. You have to repeat it even though it is depressing. Okay.
Just 2 years after marriage, an estimated 20% of couples make love fewer than 10 times in a year.
I'm speechless. Okay. I don't even want to break that down because you can't even break that down to like how many times a month, because it's like less than once.
Yeah, you skip a couple months. What?
That just really breaks my heart. I mean, okay. Okay. Yes, less than once a month. Okay. Sex is not everything, right? Sex is not the reason why we get married. It's not what keeps our marriage relationship together. And it doesn't necessarily solve problems. Not all the time. Does solve some. Doesn't solve problems. But I truly believe that it is a part of God's purpose. Like, it is a part of his greater purpose for creating marriage, right? And I remember and there's lots of arguments around this. I get it, y'all. Okay. But I believe that God created sex and he created the sexual relationship between men and women. And when it comes to the marriage relationship, it is something that brings him honor to see husbands and wives connect intimately and physically in their marriage relationship. It's a part of a successful relationship. It is not all there is.
Right.
But it definitely, I believe, is a part of like really connecting on a physical level, emotionally, spiritually, all of those things. And it's just kind of like, oof. Ugh. Well, I mean, it's been a long time since we've been in health class.
Oh, yeah. That's funny. Jason.
I don't know if I learned about that, though. They just said don't do it. But yeah,
They showed you this is how you do it, but don't do it.
Right, this is how you do it, but don't do it. That's just,
Yeah, well, that's only 20% of couples. So there are...
Okay, but I mean,
means there are some couples
that
are having it more, some couples probably having it less. Hopefully not. After only 2 years, hopefully there aren't couples having less, but there probably are.
Right, but okay, out of 1,000 couples, 200 of them. That's a lot.
Yeah,
That's a lot of people. So 20% as a percentage, it might not seem like a large, not a great, it's not a majority, right. But it is still a large number of individuals when you actually quantify that.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, we of course know that there's like there's outlying factors, right? You know, I can imagine, you know, there's couples that don't live together, right? For very strategic reasons. There's couples that maybe a spouse took a job in a different state or in another country. And yeah, maybe they agree to it. So of course they might not be physically. Actually, I work with somebody whose husband is in Nigeria. She lives here. You know, she's also Nigerian, but she came here so that their children could, you know, continue their education here. And her husband lives in a different country. So they see each other, you know, a few times a year. So that's understandable. But, you know, outside of like those outliers, you know, we do know that there's probably married couples living under the same roof that are not engaging, you know, in an intimate sexual relationship on a regular basis with each other. And I mean,
So,
like, yeah.
what do you think is, I mean, I know there are a lot of things, but what do you think is stopping or hindering this connection that is physical intimacy?
Yeah.
Like, this might have to be a topic for a whole different week, because this could be really, it could be really deep. It could be really extensive. Maybe we should talk about it another week.
Well, we can, but I mean, I think...
But I mean, yeah, we can talk about it now, too.
We don't have to go into, like, deep specifics, but it goes beyond the sex, right? So, like, if a couple is not... if a couple does not have a healthy sexual relationship with each other, then there are root causes.
Right.
There's root causes to that. Especially if, like, they want to, but they're not. Or if, you know, one person... you know, is not as engaging or as interested. So there are root causes. It's not just it's not just the I'm tired. We're tired all the time. Headaches and, you know, kids. Those are still surface issues.
Yeah, I was gonna say those have roots that are different. Those kind of things, and that you have to fix some other things before you can alleviate those.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think sometimes, you know, couples who may be in crisis or who do struggle and don't want to get to the deeper issues like that, they use those surface level issues to kind of mask the problem. We're busy all the time. I'm tired. You know, even if there has been disagreements, but you're not getting to like the bottom of the disagreements that could hinder, you know, your intimacy with one another. But we've had this conversation before, just in terms of, you know, what I kind of have seen and kind of feel that I see often with relationships that struggle, especially marriages, that a lot of times it's money. And money problems do impact the bedroom. Yeah. Flat out.
Very true.
They don't stay outside the bedroom. So when you're not together, you know, on one accord, when you're not in agreement, when there's secrets, you know, that impacts the bedroom heavily. And I think that is a big contributor to that breakdown in the marriage relationship. And the other side is, you know, money. The other side is that communication. But a breakdown in communication between two people comes from somewhere. You know, it pinpoints to somewhere too. So yeah, like Chris is in the comments, like they aren't working through emotional issues that create a barrier. Looking for non-emotional solutions. Exactly. Money, power, home, travel. Yeah. Scared to have more kids. Is that what you meant?
Hey, there's things.
And there's ways to avoid that. But some people don't want to do that either. Yeah. But it's those emotional needs not being met. That, especially between a couple, we have to understand that like sexual gratification doesn't necessarily fulfill someone's emotional needs, right? Those are two different things, but sometimes people equate them. Like, and they think like, well, if we're having sex, then that means that like, you know that I love you and that, you know, I care about you and all those things, but those are two different things. So yeah, we might have to think about that, but we'd love to hear your thoughts too. I mean, yeah, it's only 20% of the population, but that's a lot of people. So like, what are your thoughts around, you know, what is impacting that? What is impacting people's sexual relationships? And you could speak in third person, even if it's about you. You don't have to put for real. You don't have to put yourself out there, or you can message us and be like, "Hey, like this is what we're dealing with." Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, we've been married for almost 18 years, and I can't say that we've had like any like major issues around sex.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think early on there was a time of kind of, the phrase that's coming to my mind is like getting to know each other, but I'm not talking about like necessarily sexually, but just kind of getting to know each other as a person and kind of becoming free with one another. To, you know, there was a time where, I think you had to kind of come to the knowledge or come to the understanding that like I did equate sex with like emotional,
we had different
well-being.
needs. Our needs were met differently.
Yeah. For instance, I mean, I don't have to go super deep, but for instance, like, you know, early on there was times where, you know, she would be tired. I don't know if maybe there was an underlying issue that we hadn't dealt with or something, and like you wouldn't want to have sex. But to me, I felt like totally rejected.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so it began to make me not want to even try to see what's up with her. You know what I'm saying? Because I felt like I was going to get kicked to the curb.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm trying to remember exactly how we worked through that. Or
I mean, it was work for both of us. Yeah. I mean, you know, it was going beyond like, okay, yes, I may be tired, but that can't be like, there's a difference between like tired and extreme exhaustion and fatigue. Like I wasn't dealing with like any type of like chronic fatigue or anything like that. I mean, I was tired, especially like after we started having children. But I think I had to make adjustments too. And I think the biggest one was the understanding of like, when I say that I'm physically tired, what, like you said, what that equates for you. Like it was a deep seated rejection.
Yeah.
It wasn't just this like, oh, okay, well, you know, we'll just do it tomorrow. Yeah. You know, kind of like we didn't wash the car today. Like, oh, no problem. We'll do it tomorrow. Like that's, I think, how I kind of looked at it, is like, it's not a big deal. I'm tired. Like, can we just do this tomorrow? But it wasn't that you didn't see it that way. Yeah. And also I think I was also just developing my understanding of the importance of a sexual relationship, you know, in marriage. And not that I didn't want to do it. Of course I did. But just the importance of it and the significance of it, you know, as you're growing through the different phases of your marriage relationship, how it is important for the two of you to come together like that. And yeah, I mean, it's just some maturing around it. I think the more our communication deepened, and also some things needed to be reciprocated too. Because so for you, I had to develop that understanding of how you receive and received my, you know, like, we'll do it later. But also, we also had conversations around what I felt I needed, the things I needed to precede all of that. Not like once we're in the bed what I needed, but like all throughout the day. Right. You know, what were the things that I may have felt I wasn't receiving from you emotionally? Because for me, the emotional part that leads to that fulfillment happens before we even walk in the bedroom. Yeah. And for some men it's different. Some women it's different too. But so we both had to have to talk about that and understand like, oh, okay. I need cues. I need affirmation. I need flirting. I need, you know, all of that stuff before we lay down. Right. You know, it's not a switch. And we joke about it. Like, I'm like, well, I can't just turn it on like a switch. You know, you're like, well, I can. And, watch this. Right? But it's true. Yeah. And so, but part of what we're saying is the communication. Yeah. Right? So we had very candid conversations. We were not afraid to discuss, well, I don't really like that. I wish you would do more of that. This is what I need. You know, we weren't afraid to talk about it because I think, I don't know, like some couples, I think going into marriage, sometimes we have this like, I don't know, fantasy picture. We do.
Yeah,
I mean, how many movies do we watch? Television shows. And I'm not talking about graphic stuff, but it just puts the idea in our mind of like what it's supposed to be like.
Right.
Like it's just supposed to be magical. Like it just happens. I mean, it just happens. And like,
happily ever after.
Exactly.
Yeah,
happily ever
you
after.
Work. You ain't gotta do nothing.
Right. And in those television shows and in those movies, right, the men and the women, they're always ready at the same time. They are. Like they're always ready at the same time. They're like boom. And they're always like satisfied at the same time.
Yeah, I
like
was gonna say that,
yeah.
I'm gonna use a different word.
Yeah,
though.
thank you. They're always satisfied at the same time, but that is not reality. And so when we go into our marriage relationship, we're going to incur some like hard truths like, oh wait, like, oh my gosh, he's so like down and ready and I am tired. Or is it I could be tired, but maybe I haven't received enough of what I need to say I know I'm tired, but see. And so I think that's what we really had to work through. And it was, I mean, I remember it was tough. I mean, I did not understand. I did not. And I
didn't either. I had to learn that like foreplay lasts all day long. It's not just, a few minutes before you get down, you know what I'm saying? You got to continually show love.
Right.
And how she wants to be loved too. You know what I'm saying? So it's just something we had to learn. It's weird because I haven't really thought about that in a long time.
I know, I forgot.
Yeah.
It's much better, y'all.
Wow, yeah. I haven't thought about that experience, but yeah, that was real, and we, thankfully we got through it.
Yeah. And one other thing too. I can't remember. I don't know if it was something we realized or I might have heard it somewhere, but y'all, we prayed. Like we prayed for our sexual relationship and the health of the intimacy between the two of us. I mean, we ain't like pray for a long time, but we really like gave that to God. And that's why I said earlier, like I really believe that a healthy sexual relationship between a husband and wife, it is pleasing to God.
Yeah.
Like it is honorable. Like the marriage bed is honorable, right? Like, and so we prayed for that. We prayed, God, help us understand each other, help us to, fulfill each other's needs, help us to please each other. And I believe that he did that. He gave us the wisdom to learn how to do that with each other. And I've given that wisdom to other people and I've seen it work. Not, God doesn't come down and like strike you with a magic wand and oh my gosh, now the sex is so great. No,
He'll give you some instructions.
Exactly. Instructions. Yes. Instructions. And you have to listen, but it will pay off. So pray over that marriage bed. I'm telling you. Pray over it, y'all. It's funny because I think at the time we were like, okay, we pray for our food every day. Like, why don't we pray for our sex? Like, I would say that, like, if I prepared my meal, I'm pretty sure it's safe to eat and it's gonna taste good. I mean, we pray over our food because we give thanks. But you know how we are. Lord, make it nourishing to my body. Take all the impurities out, Lord. Let it strengthen me. All that, right? We do that. But I would say, like, even at a greater level of importance, like, we need to pray for the health of our relationship, the health of our sexual relationship with each other, because that's not as easy as like cooking a hamburger. It's not that simple.
Right.
And there's a lot of factors. I mean, we get older, we have children, we have different medical things that we experience and go through, different stress with changes in our lives. So we have to pray for that as well. In order for it to stay healthy and to thrive. So pray and communicate for your relationship. You're gonna leave what alone? But yeah, pray for your relationship. And if honestly, if you do, I mean, y'all don't have to give us a full report. But yeah, I just really believe that God honors that. I don't want couples to feel like and this comes from, we'll kind of get into this with our next topic, but this comes from our upbringing, y'all. Like, we're made to feel like it's not okay to talk about sex and to talk to God about it. He made your entire body.
Yeah.
He made it all.
Put it together.
Right. Yeah. He made your entire body, including how he knows how every intricate detail of your body works and functions. So why shouldn't we talk to him about our sexual relationship with our spouse? But a lot of us in our background, especially in some church backgrounds, that was not okay. We didn't talk about that. We didn't even say sex. Okay? We didn't hear grown folks. We didn't hear adults. We didn't hear we didn't hear anybody talk about it. And so then we were made to feel like it was something, we don't talk about that. But it's important. Yeah. It's not the main thing, but it is a component. It is a component of a healthy marriage relationship.
Chris said, pray, prepare, and partake.
Amen.
I like that. Oh,
come
I
on
felt
now.
something right there.
Yeah. That is good.
Pray, prepare.
Yes.
And partake.
Oh, Jesus. I felt that. Yes. Pray for your sexual relationship. Prepare. Like that Eric said.
Oiled up.
Oh my gosh. You said follow instructions. Y'all, my husband is a fool.
Yeah, and then partake.
But I know you were joking, but you gotta take care of yourself. You gotta, dress it up good, y'all.
Yeah.
But it don't have to be oil. Prepare though. Prepare. Yeah. Prepare yourselves. Yeah. Prepare your bed. Everything. Yeah. And partake.
Even if you want to put a little music on or whatever.
Yes.
Sometimes you can do that.
Yeah. Amen. Thank you. That was
you're welcome.
It was started off kind of depressing, but we're here to help people.
Yeah, to pull people out of that. There's hope. You can be a part of the 80% or more.
Yes.
It has 10 or more than 10 times.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on. We were having a just random discussion earlier this week about something I had seen floating around social media, and this is kind of like, I don't know. It's like an age-old discussion. or I don't consider it an argument, but, somebody kind of put it out there in terms of, a post where a guy was saying that, him and his wife hosted her family for Christmas. And when they got ready to eat, she prepared her dad's plate first, and that upset him. And that, for him, he just wasn't going to take it. He got upset and I'm going to put my foot down, and I left the house. And, we kind of went back to this conversation that we've had before around gender roles in marriage. And one of the things specifically for us is kind of that, the wife, the notion or the idea that the wife should, wait on her husband, so to speak, in terms of like making his plate, picking his plate up, stuff like that. And that's something that I don't do.
You just said it's a matter of fact. That's something I don't do.
I'm just saying it's something I don't do. And it's not because I don't want to. It's just, there's a lot of factors that kind of roll into that. And we'll get to that in a minute. But I just kind of wanted for us to have a little bit of a conversation about, how did your upbringing contribute to your expectations around those roles in marriage? And maybe like, how did they change, as you got older, even before we got married? Like if they changed before we got married, but how did they change as you got older?
Yeah. Well, growing up, I was a son of a single mother from about 7 years old till adulthood. So I didn't have a father in the home to see, my mom didn't like make a plate for a man or whatever. And she always cooked. Like, we rarely helped my mom cook. but she always cooked, and she never like made our plates for us either. Like she'd be like, dinner's ready, go get, go get it or whatever. I said dinner's ready,
Yeah.
And so we would go in and make our own plates and sit down and eat. Like, so I didn't have that example in front of me growing up. Now, when I became a teenager, we started going to a different church, my uncle's church, and so we would be at their house a lot of times. And I don't know. I think she kind of made his plate from time to time. So I saw that, but I do remember one time when I was a kid, I was at one of my friend's house. I think I was like 10, 11 years old. No, more like 10. And it was time for them to eat, and the wife brought out his plate. He was sitting at, in front of the TV with a tray, and she brought it out and put it down. I was like, oh, okay. That was interesting. So, I mean, there's been instances in my childhood where I saw that, but I didn't see that as like normal, so to speak. So, so fast forward to us getting married, I didn't have that expectation that you would do that for me. Now, I knew you were a much better cook than I was, so that would be mostly on you because you like good food,
right?
So
it wasn't because I was a woman,
right?
Like, because you're the woman, you have to cook,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, and there are some things that I cook, now, but she was a far better cook, so it's like, why should I try to I cook because if she can't for some reason, if she's busy or she's gone or maybe a special occasion.
I say you fix meals.
Yeah, that's what she says.
I fix
it, but she cooks.
I cook.
Or maybe a certain special time I might make you dinner or something like that. But so I didn't have that expectation that you would quote unquote bring me my plate kind of thing, and that's fine. And we talked about this. The thing for me is that I don't mind having to make my own plate. I just want there to be some food to make a plate with.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If the kids, get their food and she gets her food and I walk up and there's barely anything left, then that's when I'd be like, okay, well, no, man, y'all gotta, come on, everybody give me an offering off
Which
your
has
plate.
never had, that's never
yeah,
happened. We've never had to do that. But it's funny.
But that would be my reaction.
Exactly.
To that. Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting you say that because we never really had this in-depth of a conversation about it. I mean, not early on in our marriage, but the way that I was raised up is, I didn't see that either, number one. From a hospitality standpoint, if we had guests in the home, we always let our guests eat first. Even that meant, family, cousins, whoever came over. Come on, y'all, get in there and eat. Then the kids get something so they can sit down and get out the way. And then, the grown folks of the home eat. And the thing is, my mom always taught us, you always make more than enough. So that when you have guests, when it's just you all, no one's left with just a little bit at the end. So it's interesting that you kind of have always had that mindset. And I was raised the way I was raised and developed my, just how I cook food for people that way because that complements each other.
Right.
And so, as we had kids and, started raising kids and everything, I always looked at it as I'm going to cook, which I love to do. I love to cook for my family. I don't see it as my wifely duty.
Right.
I love to cook. And I feel like that's something I want to do for my family. So I cook for them. Then I have the kids come, and over time, I would make their plates, some because they needed the help, because of their disabilities. Others, sometimes they were just little, but helping them with their plates, because my thing was I'm going to get you a plate, get you settled down so that dad can come in and get what he wants, right? So he can come in, take what you want, sit down, so that I always thought of it as, I'm putting him first by allowing him to come in last, so that he doesn't have to.
Shall be first.
Exactly. So that you don't have to, not take as much as you want to because you know that the kids are coming behind you.
Right.
So it's they're already sitting down eating. Take what you want. Take what you want. And so it was interesting because, we've just heard this
And let me just say one thing before you go on. it's not like there hasn't been times where you do make my plate.
Oh yeah,
Like, yeah. I mean, she does do it sometimes, and I like it. That's fine. But I also understand that, like, you know, I think a lot of guys may be caught up on the, like, I'm the head of the household kind of thing. Like, I need to be put first. And there, you know, people think that way. I already know I'm the head of the household.
Exactly.
You know, but also I know I'm a servant too. So like, it's not just about me. It's about everybody. So I don't mind them going first. I don't mind them being straight, being settled, eating their food, and me getting mine last. Like, I never go without. So,
right.
So it's not a big deal for me.
Well, and ultimately, as a head of the household, that is something you take seriously as a responsibility in terms of providing for your family. Mm-hmm. So how can as a head of a household, how can you have the priority of providing for your family and making sure that they always have what they need if you feel that you always have to be the first one to take? You know, and I mean, I'm not saying, you know, for every person that feels like, okay, as a husband, I need to get my plate first. That's the mindset. Mm-hmm. But if it is, then are you truly prioritizing the provision for your family? Mm-hmm. But like you said, you are the head of the household. You see yourself as a servant. And I feel like what we do, it ends up, like I said, complimenting each other because I honor that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And we've heard, I think, various times from various places, you know, just this whole like notion around like, well, wives, you better be making your husband's plate. Mm-hmm. And it's like, all of us didn't have that upbringing that taught us that's what you should do. Mm-hmm. And even if you did, and when you got older, you chose not to do that, doesn't mean that you're like a bad wife. Right. And that you don't know how to honor your husband, and that you're not teaching your daughters how to honor their husband. Mm-hmm. Because a wife could be, you could learn to do that. Mm-hmm. And you could do that out of obligation. Yeah, that doesn't mean, it doesn't mean you're putting your husband first in your heart. Mm-hmm. You're just doing it out of duty.
You could put his plate down and mumble something under your breath.
I mean, you could do it, but you can even do it with a positive attitude. But if you're still doing it out of obligation, are you doing it because you're honoring your husband and you're putting him first? Or because you feel, well, this is what I was taught to do, so I have to do it. Mm. And if that's what you were taught, or even if you weren't taught to do that, and you do take on that role of like, yes, I cater to my husband, I make his plate, more power to you. Yeah. I think that's a beautiful thing if that's what you choose to do. But I feel like we've kind of heard some messages where it's like almost shaming in a way, you know, for women not to do certain things, you know, in their marriage relationships. And so that's why, you know, I wanted to kind of talk about our background, because I come from a long line of very strong-willed women. Mm-hmm. He's met lots of them. Mm-hmm. But you know what? They love their families. Mm-hmm. They do for their families. They sacrifice for their families. But they do things differently. Yeah. You know, they don't dishonor their husbands. Yeah. None of that. But they're not necessarily the traditional wife in certain ways. You know, my mom, she cooked all the time. She's great at it. She has the spirit of hospitality. But she doesn't make my dad's plate. And that's where, like, when we were talking about this, that's what I realized. That's where I learned it from, because she did the same thing. She would cook. She would tell me and my brother, whoever's in the house, come on, y'all, get your plate, sit down. And my dad would be the last person to come and get his plate, and he would get a massive plate.
Build a mountain.
Yes, my dad, in his peak years, my dad was like 6'6". He's a big dude. Size 15 shoe. So he has a big appetite. So he would come, and he's still living. He would come and get his plate, and, you know, we're out of his way. Nobody's. And even as we were older and we would go visit, and if we'd be in the kitchen still and he'd come get a plate, you could tell he would like, get out the way. You know, if I would like reach over, oh, wait, Dad, let me get he would go, you know, so it's like he felt like he's being considered when we're out of the way. Mm-hmm. So he can take his time, make his plate. I just, you know, my all my childhood memories center around greens. Because he'd like layer the bottom with cornbread and then layer it with greens. And then we know how to dress our greens in our house. And if you don't know how to dress your greens, you don't know how to eat them.
Yeah, he taught me. He was like, well, you better dress them greens.
Yes.
I was like, what?
Tomato, onions, okra.
Yeah.
And so that for him was like, he got time to prepare. So getting married, then I followed in that same way in, you know, giving my husband space to prepare his meal the way he likes it so that he can sit down and enjoy it. Okay. My brother said 3 plates of food stacked on 1 plate. And I would always walk over to him and be like, can I taste it? And he would look at me like, don't you have your own plate of food? Yeah, but yours looks so good.
Yeah, his does look good.
Yeah.
He be doing something to that plate.
So what do you think are some other, I think, maybe other things that people consider to be those traditional gender roles, especially from our upbringing, you know, in church, that you don't necessarily ascribe to?
I think, you know, it's just cleaning around the house, you know, cooking and cleaning. Those are the things that traditionally are women's duties, women's jobs, you know. But, you know, I think you got to look at who's stronger at what. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, like, you know, I don't know if I'm a better cleaner, so to speak.
Yes, he is.
I would say I like things neater more than I can't. She can tolerate things not being as neat less than I can tolerate. Is that I'm saying that right?
I can tolerate clutter.
Yeah, and I'm just like, man,
to a certain
we gotta
degree.
we gotta clean this. So I can't. I don't like walking through the house like it's an obstacle course.
It's not, our house is not
It's
that
not
bad,
that bad. I'm just
No.
saying, like, sometimes, you know, when we're busy doing things and we don't finish, stuff will be around. But yeah,
my
I
brother
like things a little
got
neater.
that gene.
Yeah.
He got the tidy gene.
Oh,
I
yeah,
did
maybe we should
not.
talk about that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that next. But yeah, like cleaning up, you know, like I like things a little bit more organized as possible.
We should take pictures of our desks.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it just reduces the stress level for me, like having things a little more neat.
Your
I do
checklist, to-do list, one place.
Yeah.
Me, 6 notebooks.
Yeah. So we don't put all the cleaning on her. You know, I do a lot of clean laundry. Even, you know, I carry the laundry up and down the stairs. You know, and we kind of share the folding. You know, but I, you know, I don't want her having to try to lift the whole big thing if she doesn't have to. So
I would fall
I
probably down the stairs.
Yeah.
He said he lost the tidy gene.
Oh, that's cool. You got to get that back, man. But yeah, so that's one thing, obvious, you know. But there are other things. But yeah, you know, if you want to talk about that, or we can talk about what Chris's suggestion.
I'm just trying to think if there's anything else, like before we get to the money and the bills and stuff. Anything else that seems like? Well, I mean, I think especially now in the year and generations that we're in, even like parenting, you know, I remember a friend of mine was over.
Oh yeah.
And Eric had to make a run to Menards, our local hardware, and he asked the girls, "Hey, do you guys want to come with me to go to the store?" And she was just like oh my gosh, like that is just like amazing. And I was like, what like what's amazing? He was like, oh, that, you know, he takes the girls with him. I was like, yeah, he takes them all the time. But you know, thinking about if you have older parents, like generationally, like some generations didn't have that like father-daughter relationship in that aspect, where the dad was always like, come on girls, like hanging out with his daughters, taking them places like that, especially when they related to like manly stuff, right? Like going to the hardware and getting those types of things. But my daughters love to go to Menards with their dad, like for real. But that
mainly because they usually get candy.
They get candy, but
they still like going there.
Yeah, they find it interesting.
Seeing different things and materials. And all that.
But even just your role as a dad, and a lot of men nowadays, especially, I mean, a lot of black men are very heavily involved statistically in their children's lives, married and unmarried. And I really see that as kind of really breaking the mold, right? Of what people typically experienced from their fathers in previous generations growing up in terms of their relationship with their dad. And again, I had that kind of relationship with my dad to a certain degree. Like my dad would take me certain places that, you know, you probably think a guy shouldn't take his daughter. Yeah, I went to the tavern with my dad. I got orange juice or apple juice, and it was during the day. Or sometimes, like, he'd take me out to breakfast, you know, to his favorite places and stuff like that. So I think it, you know, some of those things, like another helping with homework. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, music. And my daughter's a musician, so she takes lessons. So they were just talking about that stuff upstairs and helping with math. I mean, we share a lot of responsibilities, I think, that traditionally used to fall on the wife. Mm-hmm. But I definitely see you as definitely more of a caretaker, homemaker, you know, those titles that were even considered to be like the feminine. Well, women are caretakers, women are nurturers, women are homemakers. Well, not necessarily.
I do a little bit of that.
You do. Mm-hmm. You do. And I know some women that prefer not to do any of that. Mm-hmm. And it's okay because, like, I mean, we had a family that we grew up with, my bestie family back home. The dad cooked a lot. Mm. He cooked all the time. And that was like, what? Like, people were just always, like, dumbfounded as to the amount of cooking that he did in their household. And he was an excellent cook and baker. So Chris asked about kind of like money roles in our house. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we both make money, you know what I'm saying? We both get that bag, you know, feel me? Sorry. But yeah, we both make the money. And we had, over the years, we had to kind of get our system together with how we would handle our money. Now, we both understand that I'm better at, like, math and those kind of things. Like, I enjoy math. Yeah. I enjoy numbers. I'm kind of surprised I didn't become an accountant as I look back at my life. But
I enjoy it when things are going well.
Yeah. She used to do more of that. Well, I mean, things have been going well. I still do more of it now. But
yeah, but I'm right there. I lean in. Yeah. Versus when we were having financial challenges.
You'd be like, Jesus, take the wheel.
See you later. Which is not a good, but, you know, I just didn't want to be involved.
Yeah. The thing for us, though, I mean, I do more of the budgeting, but we do it together. Like, I'll kind of prepare it. Yeah. And then we go over it and tweak whatever we need to tweak and things like that. I add more money for her to spend. No, I'm just joking. Look,
I do not receive an allowance.
We were like talking about Mother's Day coming up, and did I say, what do you want for Mother's Day or something? And you were like, oh, I'll just get a few pairs of shoes. I was like, a few? So I'm more conservative. Yes, I'm a more conservative spender. Frugal. Yeah. So, but now, thankfully, we're in a better place where, like, if she buys 2 or 3 pairs of shoes, I'm okay with it. Because of the work we've done to get to where we are. Exactly, yeah. So I'm okay with it. But there was a time where I would look at the statements. Oh, man.
Yes. Oh, you used to do that.
I gotta have a conversation because this ain't gonna work. We gotta chill with this. Yeah.
You know, so, we're past that.
Yeah. Thankfully. But so yeah, you know, I think all in all, with all these different roles and everything we're talking about, because we don't want to go too much longer, you gotta play to the strengths of the individuals in your marriage. You know, there are certain things I'm better at. There are certain things she's better at. Like, play your strengths. Even though, well, there may be times where you don't like to do that, something that you're strong at. And that's a time where the other person can step in and give a little bit of a support. You know what I'm saying? You know, so, I mean, but I think the key is, like, doing what you're strong at, because when you put your strengths together, you can accomplish more. And it can be, you know, it can be easier, you know, so to speak.
And it goes back to communicating, too. Again, you got to communicate about what those strengths are.
Right.
And if the both of you have certain things that you just both feel aren't your strengths, or you're not as, like, gung-ho about doing, like laundry, you know, where's the compromise, right? you know, there have been times where, yeah, he's done like washed and dried the laundry and I folded it all. Mm-hmm. Or for the most part, it's like I take care of my stuff. He takes care of his. Mm-hmm. We kind of do our sons together. Our girls do their own laundry. But we had to communicate about that. Mm-hmm. Because otherwise you have like unmet expectations. Yeah. Because you're not voicing what it is you want or what you feel you need. Mm-hmm. And if the other person doesn't feel like, oh, I'm not the greatest at that, you're not compromising either. Mm-hmm. Same thing like with cooking. I love to cook. I don't mind, like, I clean up as I cook as much as I can. But, we compromise. I cook. He cleans up the kitchen. He cleans it up and puts everything in the dishwasher. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean I don't ever do that. Mm-hmm. Right?
And so that means that you get fulfillment from doing what you like to do. Mm-hmm. And I get fulfillment because the kitchen's clean.
Exactly.
So we both win. It's like, mm-hmm. It works.
Yeah. So there's the communication through all of it. And I think when we kind of were having this conversation around like those perceived gender roles, like we both acknowledge like, okay, we both work full time mm-hmm. and then some, mm-hmm. right? And so like you said, where we're at now, I don't know if it would even be fair for us to have these like imbalanced expectations mm-hmm. because we both heavily contribute mm-hmm. to the welfare of our home. Yeah. Financially. But I know that, as more women like entered the workforce, decades ago, that was the pressure on them mm-hmm. is that, yeah, you're entering the workforce, but you still got to fulfill these gender roles. You still got to be the wife, the homemaker, the caretaker, and all of that. Mm-hmm. And I feel like nowadays, nah, bruh.
Because she's expending a lot of energy throughout her workday too, just as much as we are.
Right.
So it's like, why should she have to expend more energy at home then? Mm-hmm. That's not fair. Mm-hmm. And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about with sex.
I was just thinking that. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That husbands, like, helping around the house is a form. Look at me. I'm looking at you.
In the eye, please.
Helping out around the house is a form of foreplay, bro.
Yes, it is.
It's a form of foreplay. You need to be helping around the house, man. Especially if your wife is working. Now, if your wife stays at home, you can still help out.
Yeah.
She would still definitely appreciate that. But if your wife is working outside the house, man, you better help out.
Yeah. If she is at home, if she raising kids, that's a full-time job too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yes, it is. And it's sometimes I see him doing things and it just gives me this rush of adrenaline. Like, it's that loving appreciation. Like, I just so appreciate you doing those things. And I want to show you how much I appreciate it.
Show me.
See? But it is. But ultimately, it's that communication. Mm-hmm. And when there isn't that communication, I was also thinking about the statistic that we talked about earlier. When there isn't that communication about, what things we're going to take on, what responsibilities we're going to take on in the home, then that impacts the bedroom. Right? Because if, as a husband, if you have these expectations of your wife and you aren't communicating about it, but things are going, things are being left undone and you're sitting back waiting for her to do it and she's feeling overwhelmed and she's not communicating to you about feeling overwhelmed, then that is also going to negatively impact, your physical intimacy with each other. So you have to talk about those things and you have to compromise. Yeah. You can't sit at the table and be like, well, I expect you to do this, 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 and this. And just leave it at that.
Right.
And I'm only going to do these things. Because that's really not how life works. Mm-mm. It's not. It's not how life works. Life changes day to day. I've helped out with yard work. Sometimes I don't. So now we have our kids.
She doesn't. But she has helped.
Oh, I said sometimes I've helped a little bit. I mean, sometimes I do like trimming and stuff like that. But I mean, he does the majority. But then, it's like, hey, kids, get outside and help your dad.
Yeah, get your kids involved. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even if they don't want to.
Yeah.
Get them some gloves and a rake and say, hey, Let's do this.
Yeah. But we'd like to hear from you too. Like, what are some of the things that, what are some of the perceived gender roles that you took on, or that you were that you may have been influenced by, as coming up and growing up in your household or in your faith community, that, you've broken away from, or maybe you wholeheartedly believe in. And you're still implementing those things and it's working for you. I think whatever it is, like you said, it has to be, deeply communicated between the two of you. And yes, there are going to be messages out there that say, well, wives, you should be doing this. Husbands, you should be doing this. And I'm going to say, you don't live here. You don't pay these bills. So that's just your opinion.
Yeah.
And I think people who do say those things, they are very well meaning. They have good intentions, but that isn't always how the impact comes out afterwards, because we don't want to make people feel shamed.
Yeah.
For not meeting someone else's expectations, even outside of their household, because they're hearing these messages saying, well, wives, you need to be making your husband's plate. I do? Like, do you know my children? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We can't do that to each other. We have to support each other where we're at.
Right.
And help people to understand that what works for you may not work for the next one. It may work for someone else, but it may not work for the folks after that. Yeah. And that's okay, because ultimately having a whole marriage isn't just about what you do. It's about how you are with each other. Right? We could be fulfilling those perceived gender roles again out of obligation. And it have no lasting impact, no significance in our marriage or relationship at all. Doesn't build intimacy, is not bringing us closer together, not creating deeper communication. We're just doing it because, well, that's what mama, grandma and them told me to do. Well, what's the point?
Yeah.
What is the point? Right? So whatever works for you, that brings the two of you together, that keeps you on one accord, having that same understanding that you two can walk together and agree with, that's what's important.
Yes.
That's what's important.
Yes.
So we appreciate you all joining us.
Yeah. I think we've had a great conversation.
I think so too.
This was really good. Don't forget to like, share, and comment, wherever you're listening or watching this on, just spread the word, Yeah, this was good.
Yeah, we want to continue to encourage marriages, those who want to be married, those who were married and want to be married again, and those who were married and don't want to be married anymore. Yeah. Whoever you are, we want you to be encouraged to live holy, either in matrimony, but also as an individual and who you are. So we appreciate you for joining us. Like, subscribe, like Eric said.
Yep.
You can follow him on Instagram at
Yaktastic1, YAKKTASTIC1.
And you can follow me on Instagram at Candace_cultivates.
Yep.
Or you can stay tuned right here on Facebook every Sunday night at 9:30.
Yep.
And again, you can
also
follow
our YouTube channel.
Yep, YouTube Holy Matrimony, and all major podcast platforms.
Yes, indeed.
Yes. So thank you for joining us.
All right.
Good
Y'all
night.
be blessed. Thank you. Thanks for listening to Holy Matrimony with Erik and Candace Yates. Don't forget to subscribe. We want you to be notified of all of our new content. Take care.